Okay, my next monthly video. Well, what's really going on with my transition? I seen the doctor, the new doctor, and since I seen the new doctor, what's been happening is with the insurance, go to my prescriptions, had to wait before they got filled due to the timing when that appointment was. So she switched my estradiol, the injection, because for the longest time it used to be to take 0.4 ml once a week. And it was left like that with my previous doctor, so when I picked up my prescription, I'd still have like another 3 months, because having it at the 0.4 makes the bottle last 6 months if you take it at 0.2. But she put it at my new dose, so I only have like 3 months on this new bottle. So it's going to be a little bit harder to get a stock on it, but it is what it is when these things happen. Still taking the same amount of progesterone. And regarding my estradiol, the cream, she said, because when my doses came back, when my lab results came back of what my estrogen and testosterone is, my testosterone was around 18, I think it was. So it's still in a good healthy range. So that's where my actual testosterone is. Since everything's become normal, since the surgeries, my body's still, because what the body can do if you're not making enough testosterone, it can convert like your estrogen. I'm not sure how the process it does, but it can convert it to testosterone. So the version that, their testing came back 18 for my testosterone. So my estrogen levels was about 500 and something, I think it was, when it's usually in the 300 to 400 range. It was higher than she would like it, but due to it was the next day after I took my injection, she was saying that your estrogen can spike. So plus the cream I'm taking, because usually without the cream my estrogen's normal. So what she said regarding the cream, she wants me to continue taking it the way I was dosed. And she was also saying if I feel it's working, to keep taking it. So I feel that the estrogen is still working and helping. She said if it helps, if I feel that it's helping, continue taking it. Because my plan is just to take what I have left of the current tube, then start on working on getting the other 2 tubes used. So, and she wants to see me back in 3 months. I think it's either 6 or 3 months, something like that. Because usually it's every 6 months to a year since my surgery and my hormones becoming normal. So she wants to see me back sooner. I think it was like 6 months. So we'll see what happens then. And actual physical parts of my transition, the electrolysis. This last electrolysis appointment has worked very well. I have to make another one because there's hair here and a few hairs through here. The hairs that's right through here, she's only targeting the dark pigmented hairs, which you can't really see without having like the magnifying glasses like she uses to see. So that's going good. So close to being done with that, and won't have to deal with that ever again. Hopefully soon. Am I still having physical changes? I can't say dramatic, like hormonal, puberty kind of like changes. It would be when I added everything together. It would be about 8 years being on the estrogen consistently and progesterone and whatnot. Because I was told it can take up to 8 years for physical changes like breast growth to be finished. And it would be November 11th when I estimated it. But I can still keep going or stop sooner. I don't know what my body's going to do regarding that, but regarding what's actually happened since my last monthly update video, they haven't gone up a size. Even though there's been times where they've been hurting extremely bad, like that painful growth. What's been happening is they've been filling in. They haven't been going like necessarily up in size. It's just parts of it's actually becoming fuller and getting more fullness. Not the spots that actually make the cup size go up in size, but just like the stuff parts like up here, like some down through here, and a little bit through like here. It's just becoming like fuller. So yeah. Other than that, there's no real dramatic changes with my physical transition. But one thing I've started doing is I've been added a few things to my hair care routine. And it's been helping get my hair to start growing longer. So it's pretty much at tailbone length, like the upper part where the tailbone like starts. So because what I've done was when I first started my hair care routine, I started washing it once a week and went from brushing it like all the time to like hardly ever brushing it, using like the plastic combs and brushes. So, and that's pretty much, if you know, like the curly girl method, I was leaning towards that. But then recently, I've been learning how, like in the Victorian era, how they took care of their hair to get it to grow that long. So I've actually changed a few things with my routine. One thing I've been doing was I stopped getting my hair wet in the shower all the time, because when your hair is wet, it's 33% weaker and prone to breaking. I've been wearing a hat, like a hat cap, with my hair done up in a bun and a protective hairstyle, so to protect the ends. I started using a boar bristle brush to distribute the oils from the scalp down to the ends. And I've been using, I think it's pronounced jojoba oil, JOJBA is how it's spelled, oil, jojoba, or jojoba oil. And within like the last month, my hair is like this much longer in terms of length because it hasn't been breaking. It's just when I've been brushing my hair, it's just the loose pieces that fall out every day. So I'm back on track with that part of my goal because that was like part of my transition goal was to get my hair down to my hips. And for the longest time, it would not continue growing. And it just got to a point where like videos just started coming up on YouTube. So I just started watching them and doing more research and and went from there. So that's helping. So I went from washing my hair once a week, trying to go a lot longer in between. It's all about how you do your hair care in between washing to keep it healthy, and like shiny and like tangle free and from breaking. And the longer you go in between, like depending on how you do the hair care, it's actually healthier for you with those oils from your scalp. So I just been pretty much doing my hair in a bun like how this is, like this. And the hairs back here have the under part has been growing longer. And I noticed through up here with also adding scalp massage when I do the oil on my scalp, hair through here starting to have those little wispy baby hairs coming in. It's not like growing super quickly, but it's actually starting to show signs of progress. So that's what I added as part of my care routine with that. Other things, my fluid sexuality hasn't really done much since my last video. It's still, and I've been having to pretty much by myself try to take care of what I can while using the estrogen cream, just so everything's not so sensitive. It's not like I'm doing it for sexual purposes. Because of my autism, it makes my genitalia at times extremely uncomfortable, like in a sensitive way, where I feel everything. So, combined with my high sex drive, when that fluctuates, it's a challenge, but I'm getting through it. Other than that, I took my measurements this morning. My body, nothing else has really changed besides the fullness of my breasts, the fullness in here. That's the only thing that's really changed. It seems like because of my kyphosis and the scoliosis, how it's been off this last few weeks, it's kind of making it difficult with the band size of the bras, meaning they're a little bit tighter than what they usually would be when that's off, but when it's where it's supposed to be, the kyphosis and scoliosis, when it's more so, I have less issues with that, which also affects when I'm trying to actually get my accurate measurements to make sure I don't need to get new sizes or anything. So it's keeps trying to fluctuate between band sizes right now with that spine issue, the kyphosis and scoliosis, which sucks, but other than that, nothing else has really going on right now regarding any other physical changes. I can say is I still get bruises easier than before HRT. Still have a bruise. I don't know where it came from. And a new bruise. It's just, it sucks that that's happening. But it is what it is. Other body hair issues I can say besides here. It just seems like my leg hair is taking a little bit longer to come back in after shaving. I've noticed that a little bit. It hasn't really decreased in how much I have. Hasn't really been doing that anymore. It's just the time it takes to come back in is a little bit slower. Other than that, no other changes regarding that. Let's see here. I've noticed it's weird because with my genitalia area, what I've been noticing recently, since everything's healed from revision and everything's good on that point, on that part, I've noticed when it becomes sexually like swollen down there, because I have significant labia minora, the inner labia, and barely any labia majora. It's like the right side, the labia minora and labia majora isn't separated like it is on the left side. So I noticed when it's sexually swollen down there, it seems like my body's trying to have each labia separated differently than what it actually is, where it's making my inner kind of look like more like that. And it's like trying to separate the inner to be like an inner and outer when it's swollen, which I find is interesting why it's doing that, but it is what it is. Other than that, it's been really sensitive, especially using the cream. Even just the amount of sensitivity I have vaginally. The applicator to put the cream in, I can actually feel it. And the cream injecting into me, like being pushed in, that's how sensitive my vaginal canal is. And this morning, how sensitive it was. I could feel the whole entire dilator in me. And yeah. So it's sensitive to the point where I just inserted the dilator this morning, the orange dilator, and it triggered an orgasm. When I was done dilating, it triggered my body to squirt. An orgasm. That's how sensitive it is. So anyone out there say it's not functional and I can't, and it's not sensitive and it doesn't look or function as a cis woman's, of course it's not 100% functioning like a cis woman's, but it does function. And it is sensitive and I do feel everything. And because I have my autism makes it worse, because one of the things with my autism makes my body more sensitive, which I find interesting with it all. So like sexually and non-sexually, it's sensitive. I feel everything. Some days more than others, like today is one of those really sensitive days. So when people like to discredit our lived experiences and knowing what's actually true and how it actually works, it's like frustrating because spreading false information doesn't help the rest of us, especially those who want to actually learn and do better and get better and help and be on our side with everything to be a really good ally. So, because I've had people recently, especially online, from my experience, I was trying to share my experience with some things, especially when it comes to my feelings regarding how I feel when it comes to pregnancy and how functional my genitalia actually is, and how you can't really tell from a cis woman's, because everyone's is different. That's a given. Everyone's vulva is different. That's like a given. So if someone says it doesn't look like a cis woman's, of course it's not going to look like a cis woman's. A cis woman's is not going to look like another cis woman's. Just like a post-op trans woman's isn't going to look like another post-op trans woman's or a cis woman's. It's going to look like your individual. So, yeah. Sorry, went on a little spiel about that, but it was on my mind and I just had to just mention that. So, other than that, nothing really much else is really happening regarding. So, my transition is on track where it needs to be for my body. I'm still extremely, extremely happy with the results of the surgery, especially after having revision, especially how functional it is, how it looks, because it looks like what needs to look like for my body. And it just, I pretty much get gender euphoria a little bit lately, especially because how functional it is compared to before, and being able to wear different types of underwear more comfortably. It just causes euphoria. So, even the fact going pee causes gender euphoria, the way everything is located. Because what was been on my mind is like before surgery, the signals my body gave is like where everything is structured now. And those signals now is causing gender euphoria because it's functionally and structurally in those spots instead of just giving me the signals. So that's been happening a little bit. But the big thing that was been happening is that's been causing euphoria. My hormone cycle, which a lot of people like to discredit, this can't happen. Like all the symptoms of like a hormone cycle, like a cis woman, minus like the bleeding and all that, only like everything else, like the cramps, the bloating, like mood changes, and all those other things that can happen, like lightheadedness, headaches, and whatnot. Everything I've experienced has been causing gender euphoria with that. But at the same time, my body is reminding me, because it's doing that, I didn't get pregnant for the month, and that, because that's what the hormones, estrogen, progesterone, do together with the monthly cycle. Because I didn't get pregnant, it's having all these symptoms. I like to call it hormonally my time of the month, because that's what it is. It's the hormones doing it. But because I'm having those cramps, and the cramps have been really bad, this last time. Like breast tenderness and whatnot. Along with it, it's giving me euphoria because it's doing it, but dysphoria because I can't get pregnant. If you know exactly how I'm trying to word this. So it's euphoria and dysphoria at the same time. And at the same time, it's making me feel like I want to like have penetrative sex that way and become pregnant. And it's the whole entire thing together with my fluidity. So I've been trying to deal with all that together this last month, which is a little bit frustrating because my body's wanting one thing, but I know physically I'm attracted like towards females, like women and trans women. So the way my fluidity has been, I've been wanting penetration, like sex-wise, not with a man, but with a pre-op trans woman, or if a cis woman happens to have one due to any kind of conditions, why they would be born with one. And just trying to deal with all that. With my high sex drive, it's frustrating having to try to figure this all out. And what's been on my mind regarding that is what my therapist said, because my therapist is really sex positive. He was saying, he was partly joking and partly not. He was saying, like, go have it with someone as long as it's like consensual and not with children. He was saying pretty much go have it with someone, multiple people, have it with my partner, or just do a solo session by yourself. It's like what I need to do to get this relieved with my body, the way my high sex drive is, with my fluidity when it does this. So yeah, that's been on my mind on and off, the way you worded it. So I'm like, I could have it with someone, but I'm monogamous, so I really don't want to go there. So the plan was with me is to try toys first, and if that doesn't work, try to figure something out to help with the sensitivity, because my being overwhelmed with it, because my autism, and trying to get all this together. So yeah, that's pretty much on that end what I've been trying to deal with as a post-op trans woman with a lesbian with a fluid sexuality. So that's pretty much what I've been dealing with this last month, the best I can deal with it. So other than that, with hormones the way they are, with everything that's going on, with my last doctor visit, everything's going good, what I've mentioned, and I have gained weight. I can say is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Before surgery, before hormones, my weight was around 115, 116. Then after being on HRT long enough, it was 122 pounds. Then I slowly gained after surgery, and now I'm weighing 149 pounds. So it doesn't seem like it's really in the tummy area, like my waist, seems like a lot of the weight went because when I had that increase in my breasts, like those 2 cup sizes this last year, I think that's where most of the weight is. And some mornings I feel it more than others when I get up because the weight of my breasts, especially that they're 42 inches, like circumference going around. Yeah. And my band still being around 32. So when I took my measurements, it was 32, like I/J. It's in that word in between. So I think that's where a lot of my weight came from, was here. And the fact that I got my, like, the outer booty, outer thighs increased by exercise, that was part of the weight. So it's not like it's unhealthy weight I've gained and not like bad. I can show how my body looks quickly, and you can see if you can actually see. That's the best I can actually show right now. So yeah. So it's feels good. For some reason, I can't explain why. Gaining the weight, I feel better where it's at, especially that my breasts are fuller. So other than that, that weight is actually feeling good where it's at. I don't necessarily want to gain more weight. If I could shift weight around, I would want the tummy area just shifted a little bit to the breasts and the butt, like especially that outer booty area where it like dips in, like has that curve right here, due to my pelvic shape is why mine does that. I can't really fix that, but if I could, I would put all the weight into that dip and in my breasts in spots where I want it to be fuller. So yeah, other than that, all I can say is my body, since getting where it's at, I've noticed my breasts aren't like even anymore. The right side is bigger than the left side because this is the left and this is the right one. This one's bigger and it's dropped down in place, and this one is still looks a little bit smaller and up where it's always been. So yeah. So just things that change over time. This took a while for me to get used to with my body because for the longest time this side was starting to get the biggest, and they both became even. Then with this last 2 cup sizes increase, this side, the right one's become bigger and dropped down in place. And this one is still, even though it's became bigger, it still hasn't dropped down to where this one is. And that fullness has like less fullness down here where this one's dropped down to. Other than that, it took some time mentally for me to get comfortable with that. That's just the fact of how they're supposed to be. Just like any woman that it happens to, I had to really work with myself to be comfortable with that little asymmetry that they have now. So that's one thing with the weight gain and with my breasts increase. I've just been trying to be more happy and comfortable with that. And since everything's gotten to where they're at, I have even less dysphoria. The only dysphoria I have is not being able to get pregnant. That's my only dysphoria that's left. So, yeah, the weight gain hasn't caused dysphoria. The way my breasts are isn't causing dysphoria. So, sorry for having the video go extra long this time, but I just wanted to explain all this with my thoughts and feelings. And with all this, the one thing is I'm really happy with it all. And yeah, and this is just how my body's supposed to be now. From before surgery compared to now, how my therapist was like, because where everything was before compared to now, he refers to before my surgery, I had a birth defect and I had a birth defect and I had to have it corrected, meaning the genitalia, and not being able to get pregnant. It's just like a lot of women out there can't, and it's just because of that issue I hadn't had to have it corrected. And just happy with it all. Getting to that point and accepting that's how it is, and being happy with my body. Even though I still have that issue every now and then. So with how I feel about that, the weight gain, like more fullness in my breasts, I'm still happy. I don't regret any part of my transition. The only thing I could think of, if I do regret anything regarding my transition, anything, it would be starting HRT sooner and having the surgery sooner. But I'm glad I had the surgery when I did, because it's so much more better than what it used to be and more functional. And it looks right, it feels right, it functions right. So I'm happy with my body. I don't care what anybody in this world says about trans women or trans men. This is my experience. Coming from me, I do not regret it. Ever. I haven't regret one bit of my transition. Everything has come into my life because of my transition. And who I am as a person because of it. I do not regret any of it. I don't regret the surgeries. I don't regret HRT. Things that's come along and happened in my life. That includes sexually, non-sexually, and just me as a person and every person I've met, my experiences because of it. I don't regret any of it. If I could do it all over, I'd want it pretty much the same, except starting its HRT sooner and surgery. But the surgery was perfect. So, for me and my body. So, other than that, if you have any questions, please comment, rate, subscribe. I'll do my best to answer the questions. So, comment and I will answer them the best I can. And if you want me to do a specific kind of video, please comment and I'll do my best to get that done. in between my monthly videos. So if you want me to talk about specific topics or things about me or my body regarding all this, or want more information, I can do my best to get it done, and we'll go from there. So until next time, boo.